Hello! How's it going? Kevin here, and making a video because, I don't know, I felt like making a video, and I have this vlog channel, and I don't really know what to put on this vlog channel anymore, now that I'm being sort of more candid on the main channel. I was going back and watching old episodes of QI, which is a show that I just enjoy watching. I don't know, it resonates with me, I don't know. It's sort of hit me of... because a lot of the questions involve historical things, and I started to think about how they mentioned some scientist that basically had enough money to get by, and so therefore devoted his entire life to doing random experiments about this one thing that they were interested in. And I started thinking about, wow, how would that work in the modern age? You basically, that couldn't happen. The idea that there was some point in history where it was possible to have like one kind of idea and go like, I'm just going to devote my entire life to studying this. Even at the time of Einstein, it's widely said that if Einstein didn't publish his theory of, I forget which one was first. Was it the general theory or the special theory of relativity? I don't remember, but if he hadn't published his paper, it would have been published within the next few years, because this was a topic that everyone was going like, hey, there's this one thing that doesn't really make sense. We got to kind of solve this. Which is not to discount Einstein's theories at all, but just in the sense that basically there's a shrinking window in which you can say, I'm going to devote a significant amount of time to this particular project. It got me thinking about, in addition to science, but also I started thinking about vaudeville, vaudeville fascinates me. If you're not from the U.S., I don't know how widespread vaudevillian culture is, but basically vaudeville was our kind of early predecessor to American theater. I guess, I don't know. But the idea was that there were people whose entire livelihood was they came up with one really good 5 to 10 minute sketch, and then they just performed that throughout the nation for the rest of their lives. They'd improve upon it. The really cliche example is the Who's on First sketch by Abbott and Costello. If you search Abbott Costello Who's on First, you'll see that if you're not familiar with it already. But the idea that basically you can, and they were very successful. They had a whole bunch of, I'm sure they got income from a whole bunch of different sources. But there were people who basically they came up with one sketch when they were 15, and they made their lives off of that entire thing, and that was all of it. And it's got me thinking now about how cheap ideas are, kind of regardless of what medium you're talking about, whether you're talking about entertainment or whether you're talking about some crazy product. That basically, if you have an idea for some startup and you want to move to Silicon Valley and hire a bunch of people and be part of the startup culture and get your venture capital and whatever, you have a very limited window because someone else is going to come up with the very same idea and they're going to spread it in such a rapid amount of time. That basically, if you don't get your product idea off the ground in 2 years, why bother? And certainly the same idea is true with entertainment. If you were a YouTuber and you have like some really cool idea of like, oh man, I can't believe no one has thought of this, I'm going to put this thing out there. If you don't, someone else is going to have that thing out there within a very short amount of time. And this is kind of the other edge, the double-edged sword of the internet, is that the dissemination of information is so incredible that you can have this wonderful idea that really is worth investing a lot of time and passion into, but you don't have the luxury of that amount of time, because if you dare to wait, anybody anywhere in the globe can happen to stumble upon the same idea and yours fizzles out. There was I can't remember where I got one of Penn Jillette's books, I think, talks about he quotes Andy Warhol, and he talks about the first Saturday Night Live episode, and he says, if they were going to do the same thing Andy Warhol talking about sitcoms, if they're going to do basically the same thing every week, which is, because sitcoms have very regular tropes. We understand kind of how sitcoms work. There are door slams, there are laugh tracks, there are boy meets girl, boy does something stupid, blah, 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 blah. But basically, if you're going to go ahead and do that, why not just do the exact same episode until you really master it and make something absolutely wonderful? Sort of the Groundhog Day of media. I don't know exactly what I'm talking about or why I'm talking about it, but I felt like making a video, so this is what's going on, this is what's happening, and you tuned into it, so that's really as much on you as it is on me. But I wonder how much is lost by the fact that we cannot, whatever your interest may be, even if you don't consider yourself to be a creative person, if you are an analytic person, you're like, I have a product idea or I have something that I want to pitch or whatever, which is a whole separate issue, the idea that we have this false dichotomy between the creative people and the analytic people, but we'll pass on that for now. But that basically, if you have any idea whatsoever, that you, because of the nature of the internet and because of the nature of how people pick up on something and then discard it so quickly, and that we've adapted to this cycle of expecting that our fascination is only supposed to last a certain amount of time with any particular idea, then it means that we no longer have the luxury of having something and curating it and sort of polishing the diamond. Which is I don't know that you polish diamonds. I don't know anything about diamonds, but diamonds are kind of the metaphor that I think sort of makes sense. Because there's the expression polishing a turd. Excuse the language there, but there's the risk that you may be working very hard on trying to optimize a really bad idea. Well, with respect, that's what everything used to be, is that it didn't really matter what the core idea was, because you had years and decades to go ahead and refine and perfect it and make it into this wonderful thing. And it didn't really matter if the seed that you started out with was wonderful or miserable. The ability to say, this is the thing, this is the idea that I have, and I want to kind of devote my life to this. That's not something that we can afford to do anymore. And I feel like it's a shame, because it means that we have to live our lives in this way that jumps from tiny little stones and trying to polish up as much as we can, hoping that one of them is enough of a diamond to sort of carry us through. And I don't know. I wonder if something is sort of lost in there. And I wonder if maybe it's just that I'm not recognizing the diamonds. Maybe it's the case that there are some wonderful ideas. Maybe there's some people that are working away in obscurity in these labs that are hidden away from the internet and the general public. And eventually they're going to come out and they're going to be like, hey, I've been working on this for 40 years. Look how wonderful it is. And we all get super excited and we celebrate that. But I sort of worry that because of the way that we structured our world now, we don't afford that sort of thing anymore. And I wonder sort of what we lose by doing that, and whether our ability to simply curate and sift through the sort of half-formed ideas that people rush out into the general public, whether that compensates for the loss.